all over and you're gone, but the memory lives on. Although our dreams lie buried in the snow. Sometimes the wind blows through the trees and I think I hear you calling me, but all I see is snow. Everywhere I go, and as the cold winter sun sinks low, I walk alone through the snow.
Morning VC, Sunday morning, John here, and as you can see, spring has arrived. That bit of video was here yesterday morning, and it's been snowing on and off ever since. It was quite dark last night. It's brighter today, in fairness, but apparently 1 year ago it was about 20 degrees, so clearly not the best. We planned yesterday to go to the first big record fair of the year in Birmingham called the Big Brum, run by VIP Fairs. And I've got a bit of a thing about not letting the weather get in the way of doing what you want to do, so we still went. So drove to Burn-on-Trent, which is about 20 minutes drive from here, 10-12 miles. Got on the train, got the train into Birmingham. And my plan was that I would show you the snowy video, and then I would show you video of being at the record fair. Unfortunately, I was wandering around with a camera, videoing things, but I must not have pressed the record button, so I was very disappointed because I got two great bits of footage. First one was Harry, Vinyl Harry, who was negotiating with quite an elderly Rastafarian gentleman over the sale price of some original reggae singles, and I think that I heard him say to this guy, how much are they? And he said, about £15 each. So Harry ended up with a handful of these things and said to him, how much for these? I think it was about 8 or 9 singles there, and he said, £100. Harry nearly fainted on the spot, so he took a few out. But in the end, I think he bought about 6, but in the middle of them there was an original of Madness by Prince Buster, which obviously was the name that Madness took and were inspired to write their first single called The Prince, I believe. But Harry was buying these reggae singles for his jukebox at home. And then the second bit was my wife, Julie, was with me, Mrs. Staffsell. I videoed her in conversation with a dealer over the various merits of Bob Mould and Husker Du and Pete Shelley and the Buzzcocks, and it'll become clear. So all I'm able to do is show you what the spoils we got. Now the great thing about going as a team, if you like, is that I know the things that Harry's looking for, and I was able to find a copy of Tracey Thorn's first album, A Distant Shore, and also Ben Watt's album on Blanco, I think it's on Blanco, oh no, it's on Cherry Red, and another Everything But the Girl album, I think it was Idlewild, but he pointed a couple out to me. So at the moment I'm going through a bit of an indie rock phase at the minute, and it's entirely inspired by Brett and Jesse, I think it's fair to say. So the first one was this that Harry pointed out to me, so I'll snap that up. Strip Mine, the second James album. It's got, you can see there, it's got a cut in the sleeve, so as soon as you see that you know usually that it's going to be a US copy, because it was only in America where well, I don't think they remaindered albums particularly in this country, but in America that is the sign of being remaindered. And so, and lo and behold, when I got it out, it's on Sire, rather than I think Fontana, which is the UK label. So that was the first find. I'll mess around that with a minute. And the second one that Harry pointed out to me was this, Faith by The Cure. It's The Cure's third album, but it's the second in what is known as the Dark Trilogy, starting off with 17 Seconds, which is my absolute all-time favourite Cure album. Had the vinyl copy for over 30 years. Then there was this, and then the third one in the trilogy is Pornography. But the interesting thing is, it did cause me to get my Cure albums out, and I think I saw Brett and Jesse last week. They pulled out this album, which they said was The Cure's first album in the States, as opposed to the UK first album, which is called Three Imaginary Boys, which I don't especially like. I think it's okay. But Boys Don't Cry, in fact, was released in this country as well as a compilation, and it actually says on the label in here, it's on Fiction, and it just says this compilation consists of. So it was considered a compilation in the UK, so I'd be quite interested if it was actually released as a proper first album in the States. So that was just a bit of interest there. So, but this is an absolutely fantastic album. I cooked breakfast this morning and we had this on, so I should be a bit more doomy, I guess, but I'm not. Then I found these in a £5 bin, and I was really pleased because, as I say, I'm on a bit of a late 80s trip at the minute, or 80s indie rock, and I picked out the first one is this band, the Snapdragons. Dawn Raids on Morality, fairly short-lived band. Not listened to that yet, but it's in excellent condition. And then the other one, I've got a 12-inch single, which is by the Pale Saints, called Barging into the Presence of God. And this one, which is really interesting, because this is called The Comforts of Madness. And again, it was in the £5 box, excellent condition. I noticed a bit of a label there. You won't be able to read that, but it just says something like contains exclusive to the chain with no name, which I think was a small chain of record shops, and it includes 3 A5 8x5.5-inch postcards. And I thought that's interesting. So I've seen this album go for over £30, and I've paid a £5 for this, and all the cards are in there. It's booked at, I think it's booked at £15 in the Rare Record Price Guide, and that's really good. I think the track I like the most is on side 2, which I think is track 3 on side 2, called something like Speaking the Language of Flowers or something like that. That's my favourite so far. It's a bit jangly, influenced by Primal Scream, a bit pre-Stone Roses-ish type band. So that was that. Then I picked this out, a massive Dexys Midnight Runners fan, or now Dex is, and I think one of the albums of the year last year was Someday or One Day I Was Sore, which I've only got on CD at the minute, but I've always really liked Kevin Rowland. So this was his first solo album. I'd like to find his second solo album, which is called My Beauty. I will not go into the details of what he's wearing on the front sleeve. Suffice to say, it's a bit outrageous and it's quite a valuable album. But I paid a £5 for this, but I've listened to it once and I can't say it really knocked me over. But I'm a really big fan of Dexys Midnight Runners, and it's almost like for completeness, or as a completist, that I would want to have this. And then, I've said previously, I'm sort of a lucky man really. My wife gets very involved in what we do, so she pulled out 2 albums. The first one was this, Bob Mole's first solo album called Workbook. Now the interesting thing about this is that it's nothing like Husker Du, very much more folky, acoustic guitar. I've listened to side 1 and it's really enjoyed it. And then the other one, which is the Pete Shelley and the Buzzcocks reference, was Homo Sapien, which is Pete Shelley's first solo album. Now the interesting thing about this is that it was produced by Martin Rushent, which I didn't realise, and it made me read up on Martin Rushent and to realise just what an influential producer he was. He produced one of my all-time favourite albums, which is Dare by the Human League, but he did produce this, and you can tell by the sound that it's very much Martin Rushent on there. But it's worth googling Martin Rushent just to see what he's been involved in. It's absolutely amazing. And sadly he died 2 years ago, aged 61 or 62 I think, so quite a shame in reality. But that was our day out. It was absolutely freezing. It was by the NI, National Indoor Arena. we did get chatting to this dealer that my wife was having a conversation with, and he was telling us about a record fair in Utrecht. Now, by sheer coincidence, 2 weeks ago, we started planning our own trip to this. That's supposed to be the biggest record fair in the world, Utrecht in the Netherlands. So it's in November, or the next one's in April, but there's the best one, supposedly the bigger one, is in November. So what we will be doing is travelling down through England, getting on the Channel Tunnel, travel over to Calais, drive up through France, through Belgium, which won't take long, into the Netherlands, and it's about 150 miles from Calais to Utrecht. So that will be something, a big project, road trip we've got later in the year, that certainly me and my wife are going, probably Harry, over a long weekend. So hope you're well, hope you're not snowed in, or if you are snowed in, you've got plenty of beers, plenty of food, nice and warm. Take care, VC, and hope to speak to you soon.